Hey guys, today we've got a very special day today on the homestead. This is a day that I've been talking about for a while, and if you've watched some of my earlier homestead videos from last summer, and something I'm super excited about, and I've been waiting a long time for it. But today we are taking delivery of a tractor. And this is going to be one of those buy once, cry once type purchases for me. This is going to be the last tractor that I ever own, at least on this property. And so I wanted to get something that would do everything. On a 2-acre homestead, it's probably overkill, but I wanted to have a heavy-duty compact tractor with a heavy frame that can do some dirt work, that can do basically everything, that had a strong PTO, that had strong hydraulics. And so I did a lot of research. I went back and forth on a whole bunch of brands. I kind of had it narrowed down to Kubota versus Yanmar, but then Yanmar doesn't really have an offering like this that's kind of has a heavy frame, but with some of the features that I wanted. And so I was looking at Kubota as well, but some of their stuff is, I don't know. I can get into that in another video, and it was more expensive. So you're paying for the Kubota name. So I ended up with a Kioti, which I was not really familiar with a year ago. Hadn't really heard that name before, but did a ton of research and did a ton of shopping, like I said, and talked to a lot of people, read a ton online, watched a ton of YouTube videos, and I'm happy with it. And the price was right, and the feature set is right. What I got is a CK2620, and I can talk about that a little bit more later in the video as I kind of show it to you guys. But right now I'm kind of at the end of my driveway waiting for the driver to get here to deliver it. I don't have a flatbed trailer, and the dealer that I ended up working with is out of Temple, Texas, which is 2.5 hours away. So I wasn't, I'm not gonna go pick that up. They deliver it to me for free. So I took advantage of that. So I will try to get some footage as we get this thing unloaded, but I'll definitely get footage as I drive it onto the property and kind of do a walk around with you guys. So before we unload this, I'm just gonna tell you right now, it's been like 30 years since I've operated a tractor, and that one had no electronics of any kind, and it was a clutch and so forth. It didn't have a loader, didn't have any of that stuff. So I'm gonna be a complete newbie to this, so feel free to make fun of me in the comments, but keep that in mind that I'm not claiming that I am an expert on tractors or anything like that. I do think that because of my exhaustive research, and I took literally 9 months to shop for this, I do believe strongly that this is the best small homestead tractor on the market, at least for my criteria. And I think my criteria will be similar to many people, so that's why I'm doing this video. But I don't claim to be a tractor expert, just kind of on paper, and from what many people have said, this is the best. Okay, well, I got it safely onto the property. So let's do a quick little workaround. They do sell the tractors generally. If you're going to finance them, they come with a free loader, at least right now they do. And for the last 9 months or whatever they have. So I expect that probably continues. It's got a skid steer quick attach system. So it's compatible with all kinds of skid steer attachment implements. The loader that it comes with, this KL 4030, you can get either a 60 or a 66 inch loader bucket. And I chose the 60 just because I don't want to tax the unit and because I wanted to keep keep it narrow. I did opt to add on an official Kioti cutting blade. It is reversible, but for like $150. But we'll wear that out instead of wearing out the bucket. So it comes pre-drilled for it, so you might as well just get it and save your bucket some wear and tear. Hydrostatic transmission, that's pretty standard on all of them that I saw. I did opt for a box blade in the back. I didn't really care what brand, so I think this one is Dirt Dog, but just basically to be able to grade or to level the driveway and to kind of move dirt around and stuff like that. I think it was pretty much universal in my research that every compact tractor like this should have a box blade, so added that one on. I added on a third function on the front, which was extra, and I added on the rear remotes. Those are the only add-ons that I added onto this: the box blade, the cutting edge on the loader bucket, the third function in the front, and the rear remote. Everything else comes standard. So I don't intend this to be a Kioti sales video, and I am not affiliated with Kioti. I have no vested interest at all in you guys making the same decision I did. The only reason that I'm ready to declare this to be the best, well, there's several reasons that I am ready to declare this the best tractor for my type of homesteading. Reason number one, it's got much higher lift capacity in the front than most competitors, except for like Yanmar and a couple others. But this absolutely blows Kubota out of the water. That was one of the big drawbacks to the Kubota that I was looking at, was about 600 pounds less lifting capacity in the front. So the South Koreans just have better hydraulics on this particular lineup. And I'm sure geometry and some other stuff play into that as well, but that's pretty much one of the big knocks on the Kubota that I was looking at with the L series. And the reason why I chose the 2620 is because it is a 25 horsepower motor. It's actually the 35 horsepower motor, but it's been detuned down to 30 or 25, and that means that there are no emissions equipment on this tractor. There's no regen, there's none of that garbage, nothing of that to go wrong and to plague me down the road. So that was a big selling point for me, something that I had to make sure that I wanted for small homestead purposes. It still has the same frame, it still has the same everything. It's a heavy tractor, so which is good for dirt work. And that's really the reason why I didn't go with Yanmar, because in there, I believe it's the YA series, I can't think of it off the top of my head, but basically they in this size, the same weight and size range, their offering did not have a 25 horsepower motor offering to get under that emissions deal. That wasn't the only reason I didn't go with Yanmar. There were some incentives and things. And I guess that's the last thing I wanted to mention was this particular dealer that I went to. I went to several dealers that deal with Kioti, and this particular dealer in Temple had, and it's Construction Edge, I'll give them a shout out, but they had better financing. They had 2.99% financing for 84 months is what I took. Now, there's going to be a lot of people that say, well, you should have gotten the 0%. Kubota does 0%. Yanmar does 0%, all that. Yeah, but then they front load you with a whole bunch more costs. So if you do the math, you're actually paying more for the tractor if you do the 0% financing for 84 months as opposed to 2.99%, because they give you a bunch of big discounts. They give you the free loader, and they give you some rebates and stuff when you finance that you don't get if you do the 0%. So it ends up being a couple $1,000s more on this particular tractor, and I paid just over $20,000 for this one with everything in it: the box blade, the cutting edge, the remote, the third function, all the things. So pretty good deal. Another reason why, again, I'm kind of comparing Kioti and Kubota here, and that's not fair, but these are just some of the reasons, the thought processes that I went through, and why I believe this was superior and the best option. It does have two separate pedals for forward and reverse, whereas with Kubota you have the single pedal that rocks back and forth, which probably some people like better, but there's always the possibility that you accidentally hit it the wrong way and go the other direction. And then maybe that's very unlikely to happen, but in my mind it's just better to have two pedals for forward and reverse, so that's not even a possibility. Again, the hydraulic system, which is one of the reasons why it has great loader capacity in the front, is also good for the rear, for the PTO. It does have a good strong, and I don't know the rating off the top of my head, but basically it has enough hydraulic pressure and flow rate and so forth to be able to operate some pretty heavy duty PTO attachments, and that was important for me. One of the things that I want to run on the front is a boom. It's a telescoping boom that will help me in construction projects in the future. But basically, it just attaches to the front. That's why I got the third function kit, because I don't really need a grapple or anything. But eventually, I'll be able to hydraulically extend a boom and be able to lift heavy things at a much longer distance than you can do with the bucket. And then the last major thing, I guess, to go over, it's just the price. Like, you can't beat this. Yanmar was close. The Yanmar was a great price, a great deal as well. But like I said, their financing wasn't as good, and the fact that they didn't have a 25 horsepower model in that heavier frame. The Yanmar just doesn't have very many series. They only have a couple, 2 or 3 compact tractor series. I think 3, YT, YA, and SA. But anyway, don't quote me on that, but they just didn't have one that was heavy enough but still had the 25 horsepower. And that may be a contradiction to some people. You might think, well, that's dumb. Why get a heavier tractor with less power? Well, it's not dumb, because the heavier frame will take more abuse when you are doing dirt work. So when you're dragging the box blade, when you're really pushing on some stuff on the front, things like that, or if you get an excavator bucket in the back, which I don't plan on doing for this tractor, and I can talk about that in another video, just because they're so stinking expensive and hard to take off and put back on and so forth. But if you're doing heavy duty stuff, then there are reports where people do break the frame of the tractor or do some damage to the tractor. And so if you get one of those really tiny ones like the SA series, I looked real hard at the SA 425 with Yanmar and was real close to pulling the trigger on it, but it's just so small and lightweight. Yeah, it can kind of get into a little bit more maneuverable maybe for my property, which has a ton of trees, but I'm giving up all of that heavy dirt work ability, which I know I'm going to need. I'm going to be digging trenches a lot. I'm going to be digging ditches. I'm going to be preparing septic. I'm going to be leveling pads for buildings. I'm going to be obviously cutting out a road and improving all that stuff. So I've got to be able to trust that the tractor can take the abuse, and I just couldn't do that with some of the smaller models that are more lightweight. And this may not seem like a big deal, but like when you sit on a Kubota, the L series, I think it's a L2502, I believe. And I get that it's a kind of a stripped down series for Kubota, and it's one of their highest best sellers. I know it's popular, I get it. But for me, a little bit more comfort as I'm doing this is gonna go a long way. So take it for what it's worth. That's my opinion. I do think this is the best tractor for small homesteads right now on the market, at least the deal that I got. And so I'm happy with my purchase, and this is going to help me do a whole lot of work on this homestead real fast. I've been, a bunch of projects have been held up by not having something like this. And I'm not old necessarily, I'm 45 now, but so I'm not a spring chicken either. And so there's just a limit to how much manual labor that I can do before I start hurting and aching and breaking stuff and getting hernias and all that kind of stuff, which I have had a couple hernias already, so I kind of have to be careful. So this thing's going to help accelerate a lot of projects. The most important and biggest one that is I've got to get a building out here on this property. I've got to get that trailer, the trailer that I'm living in right here. I've got to get that sucker under some sort of roof before the summer hits to really cut down on my gas usage for the air conditioning and so forth, but also so that I have a place to work, because that's really impacting my ability to make money for my family, to produce videos for you guys, and so forth and so on. I've got to have a desk somewhere that I can put a computer at and actually work, instead of being cramped in there like trying to type on a laptop and screw around with that kind of stuff. So I know these are first world problems, but that's kind of what you have on a homestead. You've got to solve some of these issues and constantly be improving and making things better. And this buy once, cry once purchase that I just made is going to serve me well for 20, 30 years, and then I'll hopefully pass it on to my son. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you next time.